All right, so today I'm here with Leian Harosky from Harosky Homes, and we're gonna talk about 5 mistakes VA homebuyers commonly make when they're trying to use their VA entitlement. So the first mistake we commonly see is veteran homebuyers working with a realtor that doesn't understand the VA home buyer and the contract specifics that go into a VA offer. Can you talk to us a little bit about what makes a VA expert realtor important and what the special contingencies and steps are that a VA realtor really needs to understand?
Absolutely. So it's really important that you partner up with an expert realtor that does a lot of VA transactions. So there's an extra step. Owning a home using the VA benefit. There's a VA financing addendum, and that is included in the purchase contract. And number 1 on the VA financing addendum is the escape clause. This escape clause is very important. So you have the disclosure. It's subject to VA appraisal inspection. The VA administration actually is the one selecting the appraiser.
Yep.
And the VA lender is the one ordering it. So in the event that the property appraises lower than the contract price, you can use this VA financing addendum in your advantage. So the mistake is the realtor that doesn't understand the VA transactions, they cannot maximize using this VA financing addendum in terms of renegotiating the contract price or any thing about the
really protecting the
contract.
veteran as well in the purchase. If you don't understand the different contingencies on when a veteran can maybe cancel their transaction or how they can actually leverage, say, the VA escape clause based on the appraisal, it's really putting that veteran at a disadvantage for their home buying experience because they're not taking full advantage of all of those protections that are offered to a VA home buyer.
Absolutely. Now, with the lender is not communicating properly in terms of their military status. Can you explain that a little bit?
Yeah, so one of the big mistakes we always see on our end is people don't communicate to us what their actual situation is. So if they've had, for example, some delinquent debts or student loans that don't necessarily show up on a credit report, those can be things that pop up late in a transaction that we don't know about, and then we have to try to rectify. Another thing too, we're going to talk about it a little bit, but no surprises with big purchases or taking out, car loans or things like that. Those are all things we can plan for if we just talk and know in advance. So the biggest thing is just communication in general.
Absolutely. And I would like to add with that military status if they don't intend to re-enlist, because we've seen few incidents that they don't intend to re-enlist, and then we need to get the letter from the command disclosing that they intend to re-enlist. That's one of the requirements, correct?
Yeah, so typically for active duty, you need to have at least 1 year left on your ETS date before and able to get a VA loan. So a lot of times, especially with enlisted, because they have ETS dates and contracts, if their contract is about to expire, all we need is their intent to re-enlist or their enlistment paper if they've already re-enlisted, because on a lot of the paperwork, the new ETS date isn't going to be reflective until that's fully processed.
Absolutely. And also I would like to add about the VA disability, right? So if you have more than 50% of the disability, you are waiving the VA funding fee, correct?
You only need 10%.
Oh, 10%. 10%. Oh my God,
That's
you
it.
guys.
And there's no funding fee, which can save a veteran a ton of money. So making sure that they have their paperwork on file with the VA and communicate that to us as well. Because sometimes the VA isn't fully up to date with the veteran has a disability rating and it's not necessarily reflective on their COE, especially for those veterans who have a Purple Heart or they have a disability rating that is currently not paying any compensation because they're still on active duty, but you can actually have no funding fee while still being on active duty if that rating is already applied. So all important things to communicate to us as you're going through the transaction.
Absolutely. And also I would like to add, to waive the property tax, you need at least 100% of that disability.
Yeah, so
Yes.
with 100% disability, you pay the Hawaii minimum tax, which is $300 a year or $25 a month is what 100% disabled veterans pay, which is extremely cheap. Hawaii already has the lowest property tax in the country, but that's just one added benefit.
Absolutely. Now, every state is different, okay? So find out what are the requirements in the states, okay?
So the next thing that we always see, and I know you always get kind of a lot of resistance with this, is veterans miscalculating just how much it costs to actually get a home with a VA loan. What are some things that you always highlight, specifically with the 2 months gap and some other things that, especially when you're looking at renting versus buying when you first move out here, the actual difference in cost that it can be for the veteran?
Absolutely. So it's all about analyzing the figures, you guys. And I always mention this to everyone. Owning a home ownership is a forced savings plan. So those of you that move forward to rent a property instead of maximizing that VA benefit, it's a wrong move. You would like to use or save about $100 or $200 from your basic housing allowance. I mean, you multiply that to 36 because that's like 3 years, right?
Yeah.
It's not even close to the amount of the money that you're putting towards your own home. So now the intention is very important, right? So you have mentioned about that 2 months gap before paying the first monthly housing payment. If you move forward using your VA entitlement of owning a home, if your intention is to resell the property after 3 to 4 years, maybe you can use this money to enhance the property. All these upgrades that can factor into appraisal value also can pay off some of the debt so that they can just focus on their housing payment. So it's all about analyzing the figures. Now, if your intention is to rent out the property, maybe requesting the ledger report from your VA expert realtor and see how much is your rental income after 3 years, how much is your monthly housing payment, analyze it if you will be break even or you will have passive income. In the event that the rate is lower, maybe you can refinance
and
so
then it's
that
even a lower payment.
Absolutely. So it's all about analyzing the figures.
Yeah, and I think a couple things on our end is, right, a lot of times those closing costs are always going to be there, but there's seller credits, there's lender credits, there's rate credits. There's many ways we can cover all the costs, really, of getting into your home. I would say most expenses I think we see people pay is their inspection, their initial home inspection, which is a few $100s maybe, and then
it's 400 to 500, you guys, here in Hawaii. I mean, we've seen it a lot of enlisted, even like E4 owning a home using the VA benefit. They bought a property over $500,000 and the only expense is 400 home inspection fee. Isn't it wonderful?
It really is, and I think that kind of brings us to number 4 here. So kind of with miscalculating the cost of obtaining the home is veterans not looking at their home as an investment. So they think about it's just a place to live, but they don't really see, I think a lot of them are shocked to see, oh wow, I could really do well after 3 years here. And you have tons of stories of just people that are crying at the end when they sell their home with you as life-changing money that they've had. So can you maybe talk about how you can help veterans understand that their home is really an investment, and that paying that monthly mortgage payment versus paying that same in rent is a totally different thing?
I think it's all about mindset. And I know that when I bought my property at the age of 19 years old, the first investment that I had at a young age, of course you have that doubt, you have that fear. However, over time, I kind of realized that you're going to pay home anyways. It doesn't matter. It's the same responsibility if you rent someone else's property, right? You have to take care of that property because it's your home. When you own a home using your VA entitlement, it's your home. So there's a difference about building wealth for someone else or building wealth for you. So make that basic housing allowance works for you. I mean, when you arrive, for example, here in Hawaii, you are getting your TLA or temporary lodging allowance at the same time. You're getting the basic housing allowance. on the day that you landed in Hawaii. And you're talking about 60 days temporary lodging allowance in addition to basic housing allowance. Make that work for you instead of throwing that money out in the window and investing. I mean, I own multiple properties.
Yeah.
I'm happy for you to rent my property and helping me building wealth. But you have to get that legit information about building wealth through home ownership because it's real.
Yeah, and I think at the end of the day, you know, whether you're paying rent or you're paying a mortgage, rent is still paying someone's mortgage at the end of the day. So it's whether you want to pay yourself or you want to pay someone else's mortgage, like yours, right? Which she'll, you know, you'd be happy about. But we want to encourage people to invest in themselves, and I think that's one thing that you do really well too is through education. Education is an investment in yourself, and that's what we, you know, I think bring, which brings us really to our last point is veterans when they come here, especially to Hawaii, they don't understand what their intentions are for their property. They want to buy a place, but they're not sure if, do I want resale value? Do I want an investment property? Do I want to keep it as a forever home? How do you help veterans figure out what their intentions are, and what advice or what questions do you ask them typically about so they can figure what those intentions actually are?
So everyone is different. So this is the beauty of investing in real estate. It doesn't matter if, I mean, it's beautiful that you guys have this VA entitlement because not everyone have this. I mean, you have this
You're jealous.
opportunity. I am. You have this opportunity of 100% financing, right? And then the 2 months gap. There's a lot of beauty about taking advantage of the VA entitlement. For me, really, investing in real estate is not just you are building, you know, wealth for you, but also for wise people in business entrepreneur like me, it's a tax advantage. So the money that goes towards the interest, right, you will gain money out of that yearly from tax return. We conduct a one-on-one brainstorming, right? So with that one-on-one brainstorming, it's not just educating you about the market, you know, updates. So you have to strategize and structure everything based on your end goal. So a lot of people, before they purchase the property, they kind of talk to their spouse already and have some end goal. So end goal can be reselling again the property 3 to 4 years. And as I mentioned earlier, if you have the 2 months gap, use that as opportunity to enhance the property. And then finding the property that there's already equity built on the house. So if the property sells for $500,000, your expert VA realtor look at the tax map keys. There's $50,000 equity sitting
already
on the property. So if you flip the property after 6 months, you already have the $50,000 equity.
And we've had a few of those recently. You guys have found some really great deals in this market.
We're good. We're good.
Very good.
And again, if the intention is keeping the property after occupying that as a primary residence, it's really important to request the ledger report. How much is the rental income, and then compute it with your monthly housing payment.
Right.
And my recommendation, when you talk to your VA loan officer, ask them how much money that goes towards the principal, because there's other costs, let's say maintenance fee association. So the mistake of some of my clients that I sat with, they have about 700 maintenance fee, but the money that goes towards the principal is 200 or 300
going towards the house.
Absolutely. So you have to see all of this. So one-on-one brainstorming, I'm going to ask all of these questions, and then when you selected the property, I'm going to give you my perspective based on your end goal. At the end of the day, you're the one deciding. What I am bringing is my expertise and the education based on my background working in real estate for more than 18 years.
And I don't think I've ever seen someone walk away not happy at the end with what your recommendation was.
Absolutely. I mean, Hawaii, you guys, it's different. It's a small island. The demand tends to be more higher, and it's always been the same. It's always higher than supply. We cannot build houses in the water, right? So we do have 3 different kinds of ownership in Hawaii. We do have the fee simple. It's the highest form of ownership. You can transfer it to your great-grandchildren. You have the leasehold. It's some sort of a lease, and the life of the lease can be 35 years.
Right, where you don't own the land. You own the house, not the land.
Absolutely. And then you have the Hawaiian homelands, 51% Hawaiian blood, and you need to have that certificate. That certificate needed to have a stamp from the state. I look like Hawaiian, but I don't have, unfortunately, that entitlement.
Unfortunately.
So, yes.
So I think to recap here, so our big things. So number 1 was work with your expert VA realtor that understands the contract, that understands everything there is to know about using your VA loan to buy a property in Hawaii. Number 2, communicate with us. Communicate with me about things going on in your life, your situation, because at the end of the day, we want to identify any problems, any hiccups, all of those things up front, so we can put out proper guidance so there's no surprises when we're in contract or we're doing the actual home buying process that come up later. Number 3 was just really understand the cost to getting in a home with a VA loan are actually very, very low. And it's the $400 to $500 for your inspection, and pretty much everything else can be covered. And then 4 and 5. So 4, understand that your home is an investment and value it that way. Your BAH is going to go to the government, to a private landlord, or to yourself. So take advantage of that. Bring it, hopefully, for you and your family. It's entitlements you've earned, those veterans have earned. And then the last thing that I highly, highly recommend you always talk with Leian about is figuring out what your intentions are, because that makes a big difference of where even you might recommend someone purchase a home, whether it's rental, whether it's resale value, whether it's a long-term hold for their family, like to be by the beach or a vacation home.
Absolutely, very well said. So I will just put this as a highlight for those of you that serve the country. For active military, you are serving the country, you are serving the people in United States, and you go in different countries. Can be Middle East, right? You fought for your land. You fought so hard for your land. Might as well to own a piece of it. So always keep that in mind. Leian Harosky, the principal broker of Harosky Homes, 808-421-7767. If you would like to get the PCS guide, call us, and you can visit our website, www.oahuareahomes.com.
And I'm Corey Doe from Veterans Mortgage Source. Thanks for talking to us today.
Absolutely. Connect with us.